Okay, so I have a box of TVS's from Mr. and Mrs. Mya, and we have this number here, which is TC1527. That's the one we're going to be working on. The rest of these get placed into my little dated shelves down there. So for example, I have TC1368 here. There's the sides, there's the top and the back, and it has a date on it, 414. That's when it starts up at the main shop, and that goes into my cubby which says 414, so I process it in time to get it up to them. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do with our little set is mark all the sides that are going to be inside the instrument or outside the instrument. We keep the insides closed up together, the outsides closed up together. And I put chalk marks, if there aren't already chalk marks, on both sides, onto the sides and onto the top and the back. These already have marks, so I know where I am with everything. The next thing I'm going to do is we're going to come around here to the joiner. Come this way, come this way. And I have my little joiner here set up with taking off a couple of thousandths of an inch. It's a really fine little shaving. And it's a special cutter head that gives a really nice finish down here. So I'm going to run that. And then I'm opening it up, putting the joint together, and I'm holding it up to a bright light and making sure I can't see any light coming through, which means they're absolutely straight. And it also gives me a chance to look at the final, what will be the outside of these pieces, make sure if there's anything I need to do in terms of alignment or for any weird bits we haven't seen. So those have been joined. Next thing I'm going to do to them is, I'm chasing you, I want to go there, I want to go there. Out of my way. I'm going to give them a quick sanding on this little fella here, and this ensures that I really have a flat surface, and also sanding kind of opens the pores in the wood up a little bit and will make the glue joint stronger. And again, as I did in the joiner, I'm actually doing the two together, so this is the part that's going to be joined. So I can sand these together as long as I make sure they go down nice and flat. I can kind of feel, and I can also see here where the dust is forming. I'm going to blast this off, and I've got a little brush on my blaster there. And again, I'm going to do this, they call this candling, because you're supposed to do it in a candle because you haven't got any electricity. But I have electricity. I have a bright light. So I'm looking at that joint and I can see there is no light coming through that. So that's perfectly ready to glue. We'll do the other one. See, it's not very much. It's just a fine little adjustment just to even out anything. Light. Looks good. Okay. So then I'm going to bring out my. Actually, we're going to do it right here. I have my little joining table. I'm keeping my glue over here these days because there's a little heater under there and I don't want the glue to get too cold. So you can see
that fixture, I just want to say the fixture that you just used to sand the edges is something you designed.
Yes.
And as is this.
I think it's a pretty standard fixture, and I've seen people who have a piece of glass under the sandpaper which ensures a really flat surface. I just keep playing my bit of wood to keep it flat, but maybe one day I'll go to a piece of glass. It seems to work good though. This is another one I made, and this is based on the hundreds and hundreds of years old principle of joining the two bits of wood together. And the black stuff on here is ABS, and it's really good at releasing glue. Just going to make sure I've got everything I need in here. Looks good. We're just using the regular white glue. So I take one of my top of my back, line it up. I'm going to put exactly the right amount of glue onto the joint. And then make sure my finger's kind of clean. Just going to smidge that out. Shah, you pass me a piece of blue towel there. I just threw my old rotten piece away because I knew the camera was coming and it wouldn't want to see a nasty old gluey bit of towel. Okay, so I've got the glue on the joint there. I then open it up. The show side, that's going to be the outside of the instrument, is now down, and I'm trying to keep those two faces as best aligned as I can. It sits flat on there. Take 3 of these, and then I take these little bits of webbing, and I have a little hook underneath that you probably can't see that's pulling back underneath. I wrap around twice, under there, take a wedge. Okay, that's starting to squeeze and push down. We'll do the same here.
I'm going to come around the other side.
Of course you are. Of course you are. Don't tread on my webbing. God.
It's actually called twill tape.
Twill tape is the correct term. Gordon is a seamstress, so he knows about these.
That's where you can get it.
I'm checking under here with my finger to make sure that that joint really feels that it is flat and it's not sticking up. Sometimes the wood can be quite different thicknesses. You got to watch for that. Last one on here. Yeah, twilltape.com. Now we're advertising. And then take my hammer, my mallet, and I'm going to tap these until they start to give me some resistance. I'm not really whacking it hard, but now you can see there's a lot of tension on the twill tape. So this piece is pushing down, and these bits here are pulling in. So I'm keeping it flat, and I'm squeezing it together, and I can check underneath to make sure that joint feels good.
And the reason that you want to keep that, I'll talk while you're doing this same thing on the other plate. But the reason we want the show side to be as flat as possible is that after this operation, we're going to end up sanding so everything is flat. And we want to take as little off the show side as possible. And the reason is that the figure moves through the wood. And once we get a good book match, we don't want to mess with it. People often remark on Facebook about how good Shar does with the book matching. And I think it's because she came up with this method, at least I had never heard of it or used it before, but of taking as little off the show side as possible. So once she gets that book match figured out and marked for Ben and Carrie, we try not to mess with it. Some woods, it's just amazing how much the figure moves as you sand through the wood.
And I'm aware of that, and sometimes I will glue it up so that it looks wrong. Because if I can see which way the grain's moving through the side, I can tell which way it's going to move when Kerry sands it. But it's kind of a crapshoot, because you don't really know how much he's going to take off, because he doesn't know until he starts doing it. So you kind of have to guess, and you know, we usually do pretty well.
But you can compensate for it a little bit.
You can, yeah, and I think, you know, I don't think we've ever had it go horribly wrong, where, you know, where there's something, there's a pattern that really matters, we try and get it to match up. I'm just checking I'm really flat under there. I was a little worried there, but it's okay. Okay. Okay, and I'll let that set up for, I usually try and leave it for an hour.
So when you feel under there, you're feeling to see if it's flat.
Yes.
If it's not, what are you going to do?
I can just push. And both of these pieces will push down to a line on this totally flat surface here. But sometimes the wood will have warpage, and so I kind of have to hold it, and then I'll hold it together and give this a tap and it'll squeeze. Oh, and the other thing you might want to look at is I check for the correct tension by kind of lifting up one of the ends, and if both sides move together, I know I've got a good amount of tension on it. If one side moves against the other, then there's not enough pull. Okay.
I think that's it for that operation.
That is.
All right, next we're going to see on those pieces, we're going to see some more work. I think it goes to Carrie next, and we've got some work to do on the sides. That'll come in some upcoming videos.